Happy Wednesday, guys. So, this video in particular, I just want to start off by saying thank you for being here. Because I know that when it comes to topics such as heartbreak, there's so many people that have something to say about it. But in the end, nobody truly knows what you're going through but yourself. And I guess I just want to say thank you for taking the time to heal. Too often we react very quickly. When we get heartbreaks, we tend to feel overwhelmed and we get really emotional, we break down, or we just pretend like it doesn't exist. So I just ask that as you listen to what I have to share with you today, that you may just take it as something to take into consideration. However, in the end, just know that if any of these things apply to you, I do hope that you can implement them in your life. And if not, then I'll be praying for your healing. And I want to say I'm sorry. Broken hearts are the worst. I'm a youth worker. I've worked with the youth for a really long time, and I know and have seen what broken hearts can do. I just want to say right now that your feelings are valid. Everything that you can possibly be feeling, from wrath to betrayal to everything, really. Nobody can tell you that what to feel, how to feel, and that you shouldn't be feeling it. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with this. Everyone deals with uncomfortable and traumatic experiences differently. So I'm going to start off with this video by saying the reason why it's so different and there's so many videos out there talking about how to heal from a broken heart is because we all have past experiences. So now, I don't know how familiar you are with attachment disorders. I'm not going to go through all the details of that. I'll save that for another video. But unfortunately, some of us were not raised with either both parents present, one of the parents possibly incarcerated, one of them never in your life. And if you do have both parents who are extremely supportive, then this is great, because broken hearts are already hard as it is. With supportive parents, but without, even more. And especially if you're dealing with this having come from a broken home, this video is for you. So everything I'm going to write comes straight from my own experiences and the research I've done online on broken hearts. The reason why I'm so big on don't let anyone make you or feel bad or shame you or make you feel like you're weak for feeling the way that you do or that you have something to prove is because as a science teacher, I'm going to be the first one to tell you that broken hearts have a literal physical change in your body. So when you physically feel that pain in your chest, I'm going to tell you what that is. So whenever your body goes through intense stress, the first thing that you don't notice that happens to your body is that you tend to tense your muscles up quite a bit, right? So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to pause this video, and I want you to focus on a mindfulness meditation. What is that? So this is a breathing exercise I would like you to practice. I want you to do that. I want you to clear your mind, and even if thoughts come, just don't hold on to them. And I want you to just breathe in. 5 seconds in. Hold it. 5 seconds out. I want you to do that. But as you do that, I want you to actually picture and allow those emotions that you're feeling, those emotions you're trying so hard to suppress, those emotions that you're really trying so hard to be strong and not to overwhelm you. Or maybe the emotions are just so overwhelming that you feel like it's almost suffocating. So this is a productive way of doing it, because unfortunately, either way is not good, where you're suppressing your emotions or when you're just allowing them to overtake you and then you're crying for 3 hours. So go ahead and pause this video, do this. I want you to breathe in, get the oxygen flow, hold it in, breathe out, and feel those emotions, everything that comes to mind. Whether it be that loss that you feel, maybe it's the memories, whatever it may be, don't linger in a single thought. Just allow them to come. And as the emotions come, when you breathe out, let them go. Breathe in the emotions, breathe out, let them go out of your body. Do this for a good at least 5 to 10 minutes. And then, so go ahead and pause the video and do that now. As soon as you're done with that, then you can move on to the next thing. Why am I promoting so much that you need to get oxygen flow? Because unfortunately, this is the way our brains work. Our brains run on oxygen. Our entire body runs on fuel. That fuel solely depends on how much oxygen we're getting to our bodies, or specifically our mitochondria. And what happens when we're stressed out, we tend to cry. That when we breathe, we're exhaling more than we're breathing in. Okay? Meaning that we're not actually taking the time to take in the oxygen and just bring them out. Or sometimes you breathe in and then you forget shallow breaths in, shallow breaths. And that's really hyperventilation. You're either breathing out too much or breathing in too much and holding it in. And when you do that, it dysregulates your overall thought process. So what does that mean? It's that spiraling feeling you get when you get a broken heart, when you think that, dang, it's never going to get better. This sucks. No one's ever going to love me again. All of that is because when we're upset and we're stressed out, we tend to tense our muscles, we tend to hold our breath, and it makes our stress and our pain triple times as worse than it has to be. So I'm asking you to take a moment and just regulate your breathing. Allow yourself to feel those emotions. Do not suppress those emotions. I'm going to tell you right now that there's people who allow their emotions to consume them. And then there's the opposite. And the ones who have gotten so used to pushing back and repressing as many emotions that cause pain as possible. So here's the thing. Some of us come from traumatic backgrounds. This means that we went through certain experiences in life that taught us how to emotionally regulate. When it comes to emotional regulation and stress, our body kicks into survival mode. So if you spend a lot of your childhood in survival mode, you've already built and it is ingrained within you these survival mechanisms. And unfortunately for some people, and if this applies to you, I need you to focus very carefully on this one. We like to build walls. So what does that mean? That means that whenever, say you were a kid and you went through something really traumatic, whether it be domestic violence, whether it be a drug abuse, whether it be a parent who's missing and you were neglected, okay? What we tend to do is when we go through those intense emotional anguish, we tend to disassociate sometimes, meaning we tend to come out of our own minds. It's kind of when you're zoning out, right, for long periods of time. And we tend to take those really stressful moments and push them to the farthest back of our minds as we possibly can. And then now the problem with this is that when we get used to doing that, it's kind of like, picture it this way. It's kind of like a hoarder. When you take a bunch of things, say in the garage, and you put it in a corner, it's like you forget it's there, but it's still there. What happens when you get more baggage? You don't throw it away. You don't deal with it. You grab it and you push it back to that corner. Eventually, the clutter is going to build up. It's the same way with repressed emotions and trauma. We tend to push it into the farthest corners of our mind that we almost want to forget, like it's not even there, basically. And the problem is that the clutter works the same, is that if you don't take the time to face emotions, especially the ones that hurt because you got used to as a kid just repressing everything back, then that will just start a huge snowball effect with your emotions. And unfortunately, that can only go on for so long before you snap. And a lot of the times that reflects in anger towards our family. We're angry, we snap. Anger towards our friends, we snap. And they don't deserve that. Because someone broke our heart and because we never learned how to emotionally regulate or how to deal with emotions and feel them for what they are, just because we never learned that doesn't mean we need to now throw that on the people we love. So what I'm saying now is that you need to take that time to feel those emotions. And the best way to do it and the most productive way to do it is if you're breathing in and that you're allowing the oxygen flow, because now you're facing those emotions. Don't linger in a single one. Just allow them to come like a waterfall. And then as soon as you deal with them, you breathe in, you feel them, breathe out, it's gone. Breathe in, you feel it, breathe out, it's gone. And when you do that, eventually you'll find yourself calming down eventually. And then you can think clear-headed. Now, some people, when they get into breakups, they say, I want to be busy. I'm just not going to stay at home. I'm going to constantly go out with my friends. I'm going to drink. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Anything but allow yourself to sit down and feel the emotions. And the reason why is we have this weird thing in society where it's kind of like, oh, well, you better dress up, you better look good, you better post it on social media because then you can show, almost like you have to prove to yourself that they didn't break your heart. Why is it necessary for us to do that? In fact, the majority of the time that ends up happening is it leads to impulsive behavior. Because here's the thing, when we don't take the time to actually deal with a very sad or traumatic experience, it's not like if you throw it in the back of your brain and put up a wall, it's gone. No, your brain somewhere around there is still thinking about it. It's like that nagging thought or emotion that follows you everywhere, right? And if you don't do that, you're multitasking, meaning that you are more likely to, as say you're going out with your friends, oh, let's go out to coffee. Oh, later on, oh, let's go out to party. Let's go out to drink. Or oh, let's go out consistently. You're not actually focusing on the task that is at hand. Your mind and your attention is partially split. And the issue with that is that when you allow your brain to be split for far too long, your brain doesn't fully concentrate on one task. That's the problem with multitasking, especially when it comes to not dealing with heartbreak properly, is that if you don't deal with it, it's going to linger there. And so guess what? Now it's like you say that you go somewhere and now you say, oh, let me just drink my sorrows away. You're more likely to make impulsive decisions, some that you may even regret. This is usually where it comes, where people do something really dumb, end up texting the person that broke up with them, or maybe you broke up with them and now you're sending messages, and then you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh, I didn't actually want to do that. People don't deserve that. You don't deserve that to happen to you. The other person doesn't deserve that to happen to them. Now, real quick, I feel like I have to address this. Maybe you're watching this video and you're thinking, yeah, but he hurt me or she hurt me. Like, why the heck? No, I'm allowed to be angry. And you are allowed to be angry. You're allowed to feel those emotions. It's what you allow those emotions to do to you, how that affects your personal growth, and what you allow those emotions to do to the people around you and the people that you love. The reason why I mention that is because, unfortunately, some people are a little bit more hopeless romantics, and every single time they get their hearts broken, they tend to become more guarded. They tend to put up more walls and like solidify them, unmovable. And then all of a sudden they bring that baggage to another relationship. And so the problem is that everyone who you meet deserves a fresh slate. And if you, especially if you're a young adult or a teenager, if you allow breakups to make you bitter, you're in for a long life of bitterness. You ever met those older people who are extremely angry with life? In their 50s, 60s, really angry at everyone, tend to be very volatile and blaming women or blaming men for everything. You're on the path to doing that if you allow breakups to turn you into a bitter person. In fact, I know this is actually more particularly what I'm going to share. If you're a Christian, please listen in. If you don't want to listen to this part of the video, you can feel free to skip it, but I encourage you to listen to it. The Bible actually talks about letting go of rage. It says, this is what it says, and this is found in the book of Romans. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Vengeance is not ours to keep. It's not ours, first of all, because the Lord has an understanding that rage has a severe impact on our own spiritual well-being. It has a severe impact on our health. That is not for us. And you might think, yeah, but then what am I supposed to do? Accept it like they just got away with it? Trust me, I understand that feeling. I know what it's like to be hurt by someone whom I've gotten to a breakup with, someone who admitted that they actually hurt me on purpose. I understand that part. But the forgiveness is not necessarily for them. The forgiveness is for you. And if you don't learn to forgive the people who have hurt you, you're going to carry that baggage over to your next relationship. And maybe if you suppress it, you throw it in the back of your mind like it doesn't exist, you're going to let that go off on the people you love. And when they do things, you're going to treat them as if they were the person who had hurt you. And they don't deserve that either. And so that's what the Lord says. Do not allow that vengeance to overtake your life. Instead, let vengeance be mine. So breathe in. I'm angry. Hold it in. Breathe out. Let go of the rage. Breathe in. This person did this to me. Hold it in. Breathe out. If as you're meditating, you feel the need to cry, that's okay. You're alone. You have nothing to prove to anyone. The healing is your journey. So don't ever feel like you're weak for that. I would say the easiest route is to just throw it to the back of your mind and pretend it doesn't exist, or to allow it to make you bitter, but for you to face it head first and to actually say, you know what, this happened to me and I accept it. And I'm not going to let it make me a bitter person. I'm going to allow it to make me a better person because of it. And so just don't allow, my biggest reason for mentioning that part is because before I move on to everything else, do not, and I repeat this, do not allow this to make you a better person. Because if you do, everything else I have to share in this video is really meaningless, truly. Next thing. How bad do you actually want to heal? For reals. How bad do you actually want to heal from this heartbreak? Are you truly going to let go of this person? Because if you haven't made up your mind in that, this video is pointless. And the reason why I'm saying it this way, friend, is because some people say, yes, I want to heal from a relationship, but no, I don't want to stop looking at their posts. I really want to heal from this, but no, I want to keep thinking about them every single night because the memories are so nice. How bad do you want to feel better again? How bad do you want the cloudy days to become better? Because if you haven't made up your mind and you cling to this person because you're afraid that by somehow clinging to them, it means they're not really gone, then you're never going to heal from that. And this is my beef with this, is I feel like I partially blame culture, society, movies, because they have romanticized this. What's up with movies and romanticizing the one that got away, or the man, I'm in my 60s and I never forgot my first love? Why have we allowed that romanticism of that to impact our daily lives? And they may paint it as such a pretty picture, but truly what that does is it wears you down. If you don't let go of the person whom you've dated before, the problem you're going to run into is that you're going to be at 80% in your next relationship. You're going to be at 75% because your heart's always going to belong spiritually, emotionally to that other person. So again, I ask you, how badly do you really want to heal? Because if your answer is, I truly want to heal and I want to let go of this person, you have to stop looking up their social media. You have to block that person if they're constantly messaging you, because if you don't cut off that tie, how are you ever going to heal from that? If you don't set some kind of limitation of, I'm going to go to bed at this time, and you know what? I'm going to make sure that I turn off my phone, because then if not, I'm going to be staying up late at night and then I'm not going to stop thinking about this person. Or maybe temporarily I'm going to be taking melatonin so that I can sleep, so that I just don't stay up thinking of the memories. You have to make this decision for yourself, because if you don't face these complicated and hard questions, then you're always going to be that hopeless romantic that it forever affects your health, it forever affects your ability to trust people, and it forever affects your effort in your next relationship. And you don't want that. You want to be 100 in your next relationship, because look at it this way. If you're someone who longs to get married and you want to set an example for your kids are going to notice if you're 80% to their mother or their father. They're going to notice if your heart is divided elsewhere. One of the stories I remember hearing, one of my friends told me, yeah, my grandma's married. She's been married with this person for a long time, but she keeps a picture of her first lover in her wallet. He noticed that. You don't think that his grandma's kids, his parents noticed that too? Not good, guys. You're setting an example that you always have to cling to these things. Now, two last things. I'll tell you why, another reason why it's hard to let go of someone. You only think of the good memories. Why did you break up? Ask yourself these questions. If you truly want to heal, ask yourself these hard questions. Remember a time when you kind of noticed that it was a little bit uncomfortable, a behavior they had or something that happened where you know it made you unhappy and you decided to ignore it? I know that a memory pops into your head. And if not, take time, pause the video, and think about it. Think about a moment in time where you just knew that you guys being together, at least for now or maybe permanently, was not good for your health. Think of what it did to them. Think of what it did to you. Genuinely stop to think about it. Especially if this is from an abusive relationship, because this is the thing I'm going to say about abusive relationships. When you're in an abusive relationship, you don't know you're in an abusive relationship. The reason why I say this is because when you're caught up in an abusive relationship for a really, really long time, you grow numb to it, you grow used to it. And in fact, a lot of the times when you're in an abusive relationship, they isolate you, they push you away from your friends, they push you away from your family. So you don't feel the need to leave. Because all you can think about is when it feels good, when it made you feel happy, the good times, right? And so I ask you to think about these things, because if all you do is think about the good memories, of course. And remember this, guys, that person that you're missing, especially if you're only thinking about the good memories, is your version, the way you perceive that person. You chose to see them that way, and that's why you feel like you're losing the most important thing of your entire life. What you're missing truly is an imperfect human, one who you've idealized. Actually think of their flaws, actually pay attention to those things. And then you'll realize that maybe this loss, though it may hurt and though it may be something that may take you a while to get over, you are able to surpass this. During self reflection, love mercy with the intention of learning and growth. A bitter person thinks the world hurt him. A wise person looks to see what they could do better to prevent themselves from becoming that bitter person that turns around and does the same thing. Go ahead and hurts other people around. You can't allow this to turn you into someone, and I've mentioned this as a reoccurring theme during your self-reflection. Yes, think about what this person was and their goods and their bads, okay? But I'll go through it with utter mercy, because yet again, we internalize things and sometimes we allow it to cause perceptions that shouldn't be there. So keep that in mind. Also, let's also shift our perspective. We tend to look at breakups like it's the end of the world and that's our peak, that's our prime, right? But not necessarily. Think of relationships are time consuming. Think about how much time you spent with that person. Oh, after school, I was with them the entire day. Or like after work, all I did was hang out with them. In the weekends, it was just us sitting around doing nothing. Or maybe it was like us going out consistently, right? Now you have all that free time. The world is yours. In fact, I made a video of this. Go ahead and I'll summarize it, but go if you want to know more details about this, go to my video, and it's actually talking about why does it suck to be single, okay? I go into way more depths on this, okay? Self-improvement is one of the things that will bring healing to you, because the world is yours. You're like, maybe there's this piano. You wanted to practice piano. It's been a long time, but now you have time liberated, right? And it's a good outlet to be able to get your emotions out. Maybe you've wanted to get better at a certain sport. Maybe you've wanted to go to the gym and get fit. Whatever it is, now is your time. It's interesting because as I work with the youth, one young person that comes to mind is someone who got into a breakup recently, and now they're using that time to go to the gym. Now they're using that time to pick up on some of the hobbies that they forgot that they had. Careful with the video games, because sometimes that can take away from you actually being able to process and truly get those things, whatever it is that you're internalizing out. But then again, it just depends on the person. When you give yourself enough time to process your emotions and allow healing, the distorted picture becomes clear. It's crazy because when you get into a breakup, it feels so heartbreaking. But then years later, how many of you guys, come on, let's be real. How many of you guys are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe I dated this person, right? I'm not saying for you to think that way, but when you're in it, you're like, oh my gosh. It's you think of the best version of them. You think the world is over. But then when you allow those feelings to pass, and especially if you process them in a really positive light, you'll look back to it you know what? Especially if you're in an abusive relationship, I could have done better, and I can't believe I didn't get out of that sooner. Or wow, I can't believe that I thought that I was never going to see happiness again. In fact, say that you're sort of towards the ending of the healing of the broken heart, and every now and then, because it comes in waves. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It comes in waves, but those waves start off big, and then they'll get smaller and smaller. Sometimes you'll get an occasional big one, and then it's smaller and smaller. It's a slow decline. And then in the end, you'll be grateful for those, especially if you process it yet again in a positive way, because you'll be grateful for the good things. Think about what good you could possibly get out of that experience, and you'll be grateful for it. Memories are our greatest treasure, but be sure you are restricting the amount of time you linger in memories post-breakup. Later on, if it's years later, it is what it is. Nice memories they're a gift. Truly, they're a gift from God. Being able to have emotions in the first place is amazing. But big thing to mention is that if it's right after the breakup, be careful how much time you're lingering in it. Maybe put a stop somewhere in there. So there's more I want to say. I'll think of this as a part 1. I'll make another video in the future, but I really hope this helps. Especially with one last call for those in an abusive relationship. I know you feel like you want to go back. I know you feel like truly maybe this time it's going to be different. But give yourself time and space. You have to. Because maybe if in the next few months, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to feel different if you give yourself that time to heal. And if you don't give yourself that time to heal and you have children, you're putting your children to seeing that I grew up having to have seen those things. And so what I'm saying here to you now is it impacted my life. It's going to impact the lives of your children in ways that will be nearly irreparable. Think of that. Think of the people who don't want to see you go through that. And if you don't have kids, the longer you stay in an abusive relationship, the harder it's going to be for those scars to heal. You have to prioritize yourself. So this is why I ask, how bad do you truly want to heal? Because healing comes and it's not easy. You're gonna feel these emotions that are hard and may seem impossible in the moment, but if you allow yourself to go through it, you will eventually feel better. And this is for Christians out there. Healing comes from the Lord. And if you find yourself feeling empty or lonely now that you're in this breakup, tell the Lord, call out to the Lord, say this prayer every single day. And if it helps, pray for that person when you got into a breakup with. I'm telling you right now, me being a person who's went through really, really insane breakups, if you all this time liberated, use it for you to grow in Christ. It truly is just life-changing. And then you find yourself not only healing, but becoming a better person because of it. And then use this time as your preparation time for whenever you find that hubby or wifey, whenever that time comes. Now is your time to prep for it. Now is your time to become a stronger, better person. Because God, specifically his son, Jesus Christ, walks with you, holds your hand along the way. You are not alone. And think of it this way, there's so many billions of people in the world, and there's someone out there who's going through what you're going through. And we're all interconnected because of that. And I pray and hope that this video was helpful for you. On a separate note, I'm going to make a video specifically for abusive relationships, so look out for that. And I'm going to be praying for you. Truly, my heart feels for you, really does. And yeah, so hope you found this video to be helpful. Blessings, friend. Oh, it's going to get better. You're going to get through it, okay? And if you need to listen to this video again, and if not, then I'll create another part 2 for this. But yeah, so blessings.